I am your mother. I'm a 45-year-old guy, the youngest of four siblings. I never married, but I did have some long-running relationships. My mother, 78, lived in my house for about a year. I'm not sure exactly when she moved in, but it was after my birthday, which is in April. At the beginning of lockdowns here in Germany, my mother came to me saying I should let her live with me in my house because, wait for it, I am your mother. Well, I let her move into the granny apartment. It has a separate entrance and has one bedroom, one bathroom, a kitchen and dining room, and a living room. While she slept in the bedroom in the apartment, she used the main kitchen to cook her meals, but refused to cook shared meals. Used the main living room to watch TV, basically acted as if she owned the house. Any of my complaints she likewise dismissed. I am your mother. It all came to a head when I was working on a computer in the living room. There was a lull while the system setup was doing its thing. So I went to the kitchen to brew tea and have a snack. During this time, my mother went into the living room to watch TV, but I had been listening to Vivaldi's Four Seasons, so she started pulling power plugs in an attempt to shut off the music. One of the first plugs she pulled was, of course, the computer I had been working on. When I came back from the kitchen, she rejected any fault for it. According to her, it was clearly my fault because she had to shut off the music to watch TV. So, why would she feel free to shut off my music in my house? Not to mention that I had to start over the system setup. Well, because I am your mother. I countered, and my mother is a guest in my house, so until you behave like a guest, you better go to your apartment. She did not like being treated like that one bit. Well, she went to her apartment, then left. I went to a hardware store and bought new locks. Until then, the keys for the main door also worked for the apartment door and vice versa. The inside door connecting the apartment and the main house didn't have a lock at all. So yes, I locked her out of the main part of the house. And then the phone calls started. First my brother, to whom I suggested he take her in. The house he lives in alone is even larger than mine. Then my older sister, who has two spare rooms in her and her husband's condo since her children moved out long ago, and who didn't like the suggestion she should take our mother in either. My sister's daughter was somewhat surprised when I explained to her that the house belongs to me and not to her grandmother. Her brother only called to get my confirmation about that. My brother's son was actually on my side, but warned me about my mother planning something. What had my mother done? She called the police for help because her son had locked her out of the house. When the officers at my house confronted me with that, I simply told them to try her key at the door on the side. Obviously, they hadn't done that before. Then they wanted proof that it was actually I who owned the house. Oddly enough, the copies of the deed I had at home were nowhere to be found. So I called my attorney and he sent one of his partners with new copies. He also brought eviction papers, telling me to consider it. I simply asked for a pen. A couple days later, my mother moved in with my brother. Brother, older sister, and her husband helped her with her stuff. Brother made a last effort to make me change my mind. My sister merely treated me with contempt. Brother-in-law told me quietly he vetoed our mother moving in with them, before my sister even made the suggestion. But this still isn't the end of it. The police officers are pressing charges for falsely reporting a crime, me locking her out. Everyone and his little brother has called me to take back the charges. I hadn't pressed them in the first place, it's out of my hand. To tell the police that it's all just a misunderstanding, or at least put in a good word for her. Why? Of course, because she is your mother. From what I hear, she's occupying my nephew's old bedroom. I haven't heard any complaints from my brother so far, but then I haven't heard anything from him and my older sister since they came to get our mother's stuff. The copies of the deed that went missing are public records. Anyone can go to City Hall, pay the fee, and get copies themselves. Anything she might try, the procedure she'd have to follow, keep that in mind. Also, my attorney is making sure nothing untoward happens to me and my property. For the criminal charges, she'll probably get nothing more than a fine in the €500 range. Should she reject to pay the fine, it'll go to court. Even then, it is not likely that she'll go to prison, but it'll be much more costly for her. The mom in this story seems to think that she can push around her son. Sadly, her other children seem to be taking it out on OP. Thank goodness he stood his ground. His mother didn't seem to respect the fact that it was his home and not hers. Dear parents, please don't frustrate your children. There are boundaries you should not cross, and when they are adults, treat them like they are and give respect where and when respect is due. This is also true vice versa, of course. That's it for today's video. Have a great week, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!